Alright, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Kaithar, aka Rishn. Um, and we're here with another banger of a video this week, alright? And what is it? What is the video this week? Well, I've heard a lot of people ask me, hey man, where do I grind? So that's what this video is about. Where do you grind? Um, if you look into here, this was the breakdown, but what am I covering in this video? Okay, what the reason for the guide is, things needed to grind, how to utilize garmoth and the grind tracker, the true money per hour at each spot you're grinding, how to utilize BDO companion, how to understand the data that you get from garmoth and BDO companion, and major takeaway is for you to go hit mobs. Okay, so yeah, all right. And the last thing is you can find me on kick.com/Kaithar01. My guild is recruiting. I want fishers, PvEers, Lifeskillers. We have mansion, we have house buff, we have guild buffs. I'm kind of looking for in-house AOSers also, because I feel like AOS is probably the best PvP in the game. Period. There's like literally no other PvP that's better than AOS in my opinion. New players, returning players, I'm kind of helping out new players in my guild um with all their things. My in-game family name is Rishn. You can message me in-game, and that's my Discord link right there. I will leave the description, I will leave the Discord in the description below. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So what is this? What is the reason for this guide? The reason for this guide is, well, people ask me, where should I grind? For people that are looking for EXP grind, treasure grind, you guys have literally one or two options to do that. You want EXP? Grind the EXP zones. You want treasures? Go grind the treasure zones. That's basically it. But for the people that are here for the money grind and are asking, hey man, where should I grind? Okay, for that, you need to figure out what your total AP is. All right. So how do you figure out what your total AP is? Let's get into that. To figure out what your total AP is, you need to be full buffed up. That's the first thing. The second thing is you need all your crystals. And the third thing is you need to pop your class buff. So I'll show you that right here. And also your artifact. So let's get into the buffing. All right. What do you want to have as your buffs? Okay. All right, I didn't have my artifacts, so let's grab them. All right, so first things first, you want your harmony draft. Then you want your perfume. You want villa. You want church buffs. So villa and church buffs are both from your tent. Your food buff. Your alchemy stone. Your horse buff, and your house buff. With all of these buffs, you should have all of the repeatable, all of the easy to access AP buffs. There are some buffs that are very unique in how many you have, like this spooky Halloween candy that you can pop for +5 extra monster damage, but they are very few. So if you do have them and you do require them to meet the AP caps, you use them. But for me, for the sake of the video, I will only be using these, and these are all of the buffs. Now, the next thing is you need to have your crystals. So this is my crystal setup. This is what I use. I do not have to avoid crystal of precise destruction because I don't have the the gem of voids yet to make them. But this is what I have. But the whole point of this is so to make sure that you have your PvE AP crystals on, right? Make sure you have them on. And then the last thing is your class buff, which for me is this. Okay, so you just need to pop it when we look at our AP stat. But I'm still missing one thing right now, which is the artifact. So to get the max AP, you need this crystal combo. You need 3 predations. Let me see if I have them. Yep, 3 predation and 1 iridescent. So we're gonna make that real quick. This right here, what I'm doing is extracting my old lightstone setups so I can make the most monster damage efficient lightstone combo. Okay, go into here, go into infusion, bang, bang. Go here. Okay. And then equip my lightstone combo. Turn on my Alxone. And I have all of my buffs popped. My artifacts are on, my crystals are on. And the last thing I am missing is my class buff. And my class buff is SQ. So I'm just going to press it real quick. But to check it out, what your AP is, you need to go in the bottom right here. And make sure you click on view gear stats. And it will be this right here. Or you need to view total. You need to click view total stats so you have the big number here. And then you go into settings and display. You go into total stats, extra AP against monster, and no species damage. This is how you need to have it. And then once you press it, your class buff for me is this one. I am at 1601 as my monster AP. All right, so since we figured out what my total monster AP is, we're going to get to what do I do with this information now that I know what my monster damage is. All right, let's get on to Garmoth. The next step is how do I utilize Garmoth grind tracker. All right, let's get my Garmoth real quick. Right here, perfect. All right, so here's how to utilize Garmoth. The artifacts that I just showed was the way to get the most monster damage. But if you are above the monster damage, what you want to use is another lightstone combo called Shadows. Vicious Shadows. That's what I was using. And this gives you back attack and crit hit damage, as well as monster AP. That's option 2. And if you want to try out other lightstone combos, you can use this page right here to get other combos that you can use if you can't use those two. And to get to that is you just go to Garmoth, right? This is the normal website. You go to tools, you click the artifact, you go into filter, you filter out what you're looking for, extra AP against monsters, and it will show you everything in there. If you're looking for something else, just check that in here, and that's how you utilize how to figure out what artifacts to use. Another thing that will change your AP is the mob type. If you saw earlier, where the harmony draft or the demi-human draft that you pop, it gives 15 extra monster damage to the monster you're hitting. So to figure out which elixir to pop, we have to first figure out where to grind. So for me, we go into global right here. The way to get here is garmoth, tools, grind tracker. On the left right here, click global. Boom. That's how I get there. If there's an easier way, yeah, you can use that, but this is how I get here. And the only thing we're looking for right here is to sort by silver, because we're trying to figure out what the best silver per hour spot for our AP is. So we have it down by silver, just like that. Now we got to figure out where to grind. So for me, it was 1601. I go down here. 1601 was my AP. I look at this. This is 1595. This is probably the best spot for me to grind is. And then I look at the mob type. It says animal. Animal means I don't get mob type extra AP. So that 15 that I would have got was not enough for this spot. But if you look lower right here, if you were at the 1525 AP and you pop the Kama Sylvian Drought or Elixir, you would be at 1540 right here, and that is the spot to grind at. All right, for you. For me, since I'm at 1601, the best spot for me to grind is Orzekia based on the silver per hour. All right, since we figured that out, we talked about the mob type, we talked about the artifact. Now let's get into what the true money per hour true money per hour is at each spot. So for me, right here, as you can see, this garmoth states that I should be making 1.95 billion silver per hour with a yellow pop, right? And then my ash forest, which is my next best spot, I would be at 1.71. And my third best spot would be at 1490 AP at 1.672 billion silver per hour, right? So let's figure out the true value of these spots. What I mean by true value of these spots is if you click at Ash Forest right here, you're going to get the loot table of everything at Ash Forest. Now, some of these items are worth absolutely nothing due to the fact they do not sell on the marketplace. Because they're min price, it's overloaded. And what I mean is like Crystal of Dog Patience, Crystal of Unyielding Spirit, Crystal of Precise Destruction, Crystal of Stalwart Fortitude. Due to the fact that each of these items are overloaded on the marketplace, it won't sell. So let's check it out. It looks like Crystal of Stalwart Fortitude does sell, so we're not going to set this one to 0. And this is how you figure it out, like which items are dead weight to you. So Crystal of Stalwart Fortitude is not dead weight. Let's check out Crystal of Precise Destruction. Oh, this one is dead weight, so we'll set that at 0. You just go into here, adjust item price, set it to 0 because it's not gonna sell, and you save it. Then you looked at then you need to look at the other crystals, which is Dog Patience. Let's check out if Dog Patience sells. It's min listed. It does sell, but since it's min listed, I'm just gonna leave it at 0 because it's min listed. Anything that's min listed is hard to sell, and it doesn't sell in my opinion, so I'll turn it to 0. It will eventually sell, but you'll get like one sale over like, you know, a month, 2 months, 3 months, which is like, for me, it's like literally zero. Crystal of Unyielding Spirit. Let's check out the Crystal of Unyielding Spirit real quick. Looks like this one's been listed too. So we're going to set that to 0 as well. Okay, so right here, we've set everything to 0. That doesn't sell. Everything else has value. Crystal Star Fortune has value. Black stones. Everything else has value. So for this, to find the money per hour, we go into here and we look into this. Before it was like 1.7 or a higher value, right? But since we actually turned the items that don't sell to 0, this is the actual silver per hour on yellow, I believe. Yep, at 100% loot scroll. This is how much money per hour you're making. And then you look into Orzekia, and you look at the items right here. This is the trash item. This is Gem of Void, which does sell. Deboreka Earring does sell. Field Magic does sell. Deboreka Bell does sell. Kafras do sell. Ancient Spirit does turn into Kafras, which do sell. And Black Stones do sell. So I don't have to turn anything to 0 on this one. But the next thing is Darkseeker's Retreat. These are the 3 spots that I'm checking out for myself because they are the closest in my AP range and the closest in terms of money per hour. So let's go into Darkseeker's Retreat. This is the trash. It does sell. Essence of Devouring does sell. Sealed Magic do sell. Kabul's Artifact do sell. Limbos turn into Deboreka Rings, which do sell. Origin Dark Hunger do sell. Kabulu's Fragment, these do not sell. So I'll turn it to 0. And the way you want to basically look at it again is just copy the item, go into BDO, go into Market, search for it. And then as you can see, the item has been listed here, indicating it does not sell. But if you don't want to turn it to 0, it is on you to not turn it to 0 if you think it will sell. But for me, I don't think it will sell, so I turn it to 0. Embers of Resonance, I do not think this sells, so I'll turn it to 0. Same thing with Flame of Resonance. I don't think it sells, so I'll turn it to 0. And to check it out is just like go into here, copy this. Again, go back into the central market, paste it. And as you can see here, it's 1,000 min listed. So I turned it to 0. Now, if we go back into silver per hour right here, as you can see, Darkseeker Retreat all of a sudden it has become way worse of a grind spot than the 3 that we were comparing. Now we have to look at Turngrad Ruins. Let's look at the Turngrad Ruins. Trash does sell. Essence of Devouring does sell. This sells, this sells, this sells, this sells, this sells, this sells. PvEers Fragment, I don't believe this item sells, so I'm going to check it out. I know you need to turn I have this item, so I know this is not going to be on the marketplace. I search it, it's not on the marketplace, so it has no value. What do you do with this then, right? Like, this is a unique item that doesn't sell on the marketplace, right? It says price is 124 million, but it doesn't sell on the marketplace, so how can this have 124 million silver? Well, you need to turn this PvEers Fragment into an item to sell it. Well, this is what you need. You need 2 crystals of Elcars to turn it into PvEers Fragment, to use PvEers Fragment to make Visionary Crystal of Elcar to sell. This is a little bit too much, but I will set it to 0 because I know like the item does sell, but the bottleneck is for this item is I don't know what the green turd is called. Forest Fury? Yeah. The bottleneck to make that is this. You can't buy that item. And because you can't buy that item to make the crystals and then sell the crystals, I will set the value to 0 because you can't make the item to sell it. So we'll set this to 0 and save. Everything else, it seems like it does sell. All right, so we set everything to 0 that doesn't sell, and everything that does sell is good to go. So my base for me at 1600, my options for money per hour is as follows: Orzekia, Ash Forest. That's it. Because Tungrad Ruin is way worse in terms of silver per hour compared to Orzeki and Ash Forest. But even at Ash Forest, as you can see, it's worse than Orzekia, so I should be grinding at Orzekia. Now it's saying I make 1.953 billion silver per hour on yellow. All right. So the next thing is we figured out what spot there to grind at, right? Because this is where my AP relies or my AP lies and is the best spot for me to grind at. Now, we need to also ask ourselves, am I actually making this much silver per hour? And at that spot. So we're going to have to go in game and test that out for ourselves, because if this Garmoth is telling me I should be making this much silver, but I'm not making this much silver, then something is wrong, right? Then we should probably try other grind spot where we are actually making the silver per hour that Garmoth is telling us. All right. So this brings us to our next thing, which is how to utilize BDO Companion. Now, BDO Companion is a new app that is out by Icon, this right here. And this will help us track how much money per hour to make. Now, for most people that aren't too sweaty, that just wanted to know where you should grind, that's how you should figure out where you should be grinding. But for the people that want to take it one step forward and actually figure out if they're making the amount of silver that they should be making and that they are at the right spot, even like more try hard, they can figure that out by themselves by doing this, by utilizing BDO Companion and seeing how you stack up against what the average on Garmoth is saying. Now, I'm using the free version of Garmoth, and BDO Companion does not have monetization on it yet. So a free version of BDO Companion as well. Again, I'm not sponsored by either one of these. So yeah, let's get into how to utilize the BDO Companion. First of all, you need to set it up. For me, change the Garmoth API code. You go into your thing, get the go into your settings right here. Get the API key, change the API key, and put your API key in here. Put in the family fame. Mine is 8888. This is my family fame. I turn on value pack because I have value pack. I turn on merchant ring because I have merchant ring, and this will calculate the tax. So we set up this. My region is North America. I don't know why, like I don't know what these are on, but yeah, sure, I turned it on. Calculate taxes and overlay. I'd like to see that. I changed my hotkey because I want to utilize the Beater Companion via hotkey rather than opening it up and closing it. So for me, it's shift left arrow and shift right arrow to pause and resume. That's how I have it. I always on top. This is bugged right now because this just came out. But every time you open up BDO Companion, you have to turn on always on top. So when you get in game, for example, like this, and you press the hotkey, there it goes right there. It'll be on top right here. I had to do it 4 times. If you heard it, if you heard the audio, it's quite loud. It's on the top left right there, and that's how that works. If you don't have always on top, it won't show on top, which is annoying. Enable overlay, that is the overlay. So yeah, that's how you set up the video companion. Why use it? Okay, let's get into why use it. All right, so what it does is after you grind your hour, it will show you your hour. Something like this, and this will show you on top how much silver per hour you made and how much tax value it made. All right, and that's why you utilize video companion. What do you do, or how to set it up? We went over how to set it up and why you use it. Okay, now what do you do with this data that you get? All right, well, the data that you get, it will pop up right here, and then it'll give you an upload session button. You press the upload session button, and the upload session button will put in your information in your grind tracker. Just like this. This is my Orzekia hours. My first right here, when you see 9.26, 9.183, or 9183, 9265, these are my hours on blue loot scroll. And then this one, 12936, is my hour on yellow loot scroll. All right, now once you upload your session, it will show you how much trash you got and how much other RNG items that you get. How do you really see if you're making, if you're at the right spot, right? So for me, this is how I utilize it. Okay, because I'm utilizing the free version of video grind tracker, and I'm using blue loot scroll. So you want to go into here, you want to go to drop amount and choose the blue loot scroll option and click close, and this will tell you the amount of trash per hour that you should be getting at blue loot scroll. At blue loot scroll, it says a person should be getting 9.9k per hour. If you look at what I'm getting per hour on blue, I'm getting 9.2, which means I'm doing worse. Now it changed to, yeah, 9. This means I'm doing worse than an average person at grinding. Now, how much worse am I doing than an average person at grinding? Well, let's see. So we'll take the amount that it's saying, which is 9915, and actually, excuse me, we'll take our value first, which is 9265, and then we will divide it by the value that is on the global, which is 9915. Perfect. And subtract it by 1. And this is how much worse I am doing than an average person. I'm doing, or average person that has uploaded their trash per hour on Garmoth. I'm doing 6.5% worse than an average person on Garmoth at this grind spot. Now, if you look at the next best spot, which I hit the AP value at, is Ash Forest. Now, the Ash Forest trash per hour is 15.96. Would I benefit going to Ash Forest if I could hit this average, even though I'm grinding 6% worse than an average person? Probably not, because 6% of 1.6 bill is about 100 mil. If I'm making 100 million less than an average person, and so I would be making 1.53 billion silver per hour at Orzekia versus making 1.4 billion silver at Ash Forest, which one am I better off at? at Orzekia. So that's how you utilize Garmoth once you uploaded it. Because I'm using the free version, you do not look at the exact silver per hour value and think it's exactly right, because one, the people that are uploading their data are not uploading their data properly. For example, if you look at the way that I have my data uploaded, which is just through Garmoth, I would have to go into setting up the drop rate. This is a little bit annoying. So I don't want to do this. Most people don't have this enabled. They don't go through this. So Garmoth typically doesn't have the rare item drops calculated properly. So the only thing you want to look at is the trash value, how your trash value is compared to the trash value on Garmoth. And this will tell you how you're doing on average, because the RNG drops are in the same ratio with the trash that you're getting. So for example, if you're doing 10,000 trash, you should be getting 10,000 trash worth of RNG drops. But if you're doing 9,000 trash, clearly you will be doing 9,000 trash worth of RNG drops. The ratio is maintained. If you're doing 8,000 trash, you're gonna get the same RNG loot as an 8,000 player. So that's why the only thing you need to take away from it, if you're using the free version, is the trash value at the loot scroll you have set it up. For me, I use blue, so I basically check the blue blue trash per hour. I also tested out the yellow trash per hour, which we can go into again. Turn this into 100% right here, and then look at Orzekia. Orzekia looks like the average is 13,200 trash per hour, and on yellow it looks like I did 12,936, which is 200, about 200 less than the average. And if you look at the RNG drops right here, RNG drops are RNG, right? But over time they will be evened out. So that's how you compare how you're doing compared to Garmoth, how much worse or how much better you're doing in at Garmoth. The way that you thought about going to a bottom spot, right? For example, how I was comparing Orzekia to Ash Forest in terms of silver per hour. When you get gear ups, right, and you try to move to Orbita or Pinnabomb or Zephyrus, you want to apply the same logic when you're moving up in gear as well as moving down, or finding a worse spot to grind at or a better spot to grind at. Apply that logic in reverse when you're moving up in gear as well. So going to the next spot like Orbita, and then see what the item drop loot is, or item table is, and set the items that don't sell to 0 to figure out what your actual silver per hour is. Now, since I haven't grinded at these spots right here, I don't know the real value of the Jinn, Crystal of Dusky Ruin, or Silent Fragment of Origin. But what I do know is these two items down here, when I open up the market, go into the market, they don't sell. So if they don't sell, the value is literally 0. So you set it to 0, and that will give you the amount of silver per hour at each of these spots. All right. So now that we understand how to utilize that data, let's just everybody up last, go grind. All right. You know where to grind now. You know how to answer this question by yourself now. Go grind. All right. I've been watching a lot of like YouTube videos of people like, dude, I quit. I was hard capped. Vestrovision. Okay. Like, I quit the game. I was hard capped. Now I'm no longer hard capped. I'm not gonna grind because my gears. No, dude. Stop being a fucking doomer. Okay. Stop being a doomer. If you want the gear, go get it. All right. This is how you grind. This is how you answer the question. Where I should grind. Now go hit them up, get the gear that you want. You feel me? Now, up last is you can find me on kick.com/Carthar01. My guild is recruiting. All the info about guild recruitment is going to be left in the description down below. All right, that's it. I'll catch y'all next week or in the next video.